All right, it's working out. What's up, guys? Welcome to the Howler Mouse channel. And as we get set up here, a little bit layer once again. All right, so I hope everyone is having a good weekend. For you people in the future, this is taking place live on November 8th, approximately 11:59, almost noon on this beautiful fall day. We had a big rainstorm last night. Hey, John, what's going on? And when John pops up in the comments, that is always my cue to ask you guys to be sure that you have subscribed. Please give us a thumbs up and definitely leave a comment and hit that bell because as we go into the autumn months and the winter months coming up, I'm apparently, as you can see, definitely going to be on here quite a bit more. So to just kind of jump in there, we are going to be I don't know, maybe we'll unbag maybe one or two. I don't know how many we're going to do, but I have a magazine called Hero Illustrated from the 90s, right? And there wasn't really a whole lot of information about the magazine, so I'll go over that in a minute because I want to talk about what's in front of me, right? One of the great things about comics back in the 80s, and I'm sure in the 70s also, this is just what I had near me that I grabbed here, right? Heroes Illustrated was sort of a news magazine. And I say sort of, and I'll explain that in a minute. News magazine that interviewed creators, talked about comics, gave you checklists, and did quite a bit. But it really, there was a lot of, it pandered a little bit. It was a lot about 90s comic speculation, which we'll get there in a minute, right? And one of the great things about the 80s that I was pointing out going into the 90s and stuff was the fact that you would actually have some of these magazines pop up on newsstands out of the blue that were comics news and interviewed your creators on comics. Now, this stuff was, what was so great about it is how little there was. I know that sounds bizarre. How little there was. More is better. No, less is more. I think that's what social media has shown us in the past 15 years. Having that lack of access gave a mystique to the creators and how comics were made and what do they do behind the scenes. You had a little bit of a mystique about these people, right? You had editorials, you would have bullpen bulletins, Stan's soapbox, Dick Giardardo giving his little editorials, and every now and then you would see a snippet of like, hey, this person is getting married, they'd had a baby, what you see while comics are coming up. It was to me, it was a lot more, and these magazines were really, they felt professional. Whether they were or not, we'll never know, but they had a little bit of integrity to them, right? This is a collection. This is a super special of Comics Interview magazine where they would collect Batman themed things because of it. But you would run across these in dollar boxes. I have spoke many times of being in a small town, and I was reliant on the spinner racks and magazine stands of several stores in the area. I have a video out there called Where Little Howler Mouse Bought His Comics, 1979 to 2000, showing you the abandoned gas stations and remodeled pharmacies and the shutdown Magic Mart and things like that, right? But in the 90s, we had Wizard magazine, and this played a part in Hero Illustrated being canceled as well. Okay, Wizard was awesome. I think for the first, I don't know. I wish I could really put a number on it, going off of memory, but the first 5 years were absolutely fantastic. And as they went further into the 90s, I felt like some of the surprises they had and speculation they had, they were working arm in arm with the comic book companies, right? Whether they were or they weren't, it doesn't really matter. But because Wizard was tons of fun, and they definitely, to me, went downhill and turned into a magazine talking about movies when they split this magazine up into a card magazine. I think it was called Inquest or something. I don't know. And then Toy Fair, because you had all of that in here, and then they split. You know, good for them and stuff, right? But yeah, I still have all of my Wizards month to month. You've had many YouTube channels and there's currently I guess it's a YouTube channel, podcast, Facebook group, social media one where they're going through every issue of Wizard. People have done it. Amazing Heroes was very cool. It was so odd to be at a weird flea market or something as a kid and see something like this that was not on the newsstands, and to grab one, you would see these amazing ads and checklists inside of them. But these were the ones that would pop up sporadically. I think there were 2 volumes of this. Comic Scene would pop up. You would go to the grocery store and turn around, and you might have a. The last time I really saw comics at a grocery store, it had Starman #6 in the '90s, Comic Scene, and believe it or not, they had the Valiant. I remember seeing some Valiant Super Mario Nintendo books or something, and for some reason, I'm also picturing, probably not the same year, the Road Warriors on wrestling fame on Harleys on the cover of a comic book, which I think was probably Valiant also. But yeah, I mean, it was just so random how these things would pop up. And these are my issues of Hero Illustrated that I have, I've read most of them. And there's a here I found out. Oh, I have a cat. Excuse me, guys. I have a cat trapped in here. Come on, guys. Everybody out. You gonna be cool, Shiva? Okay. You want to go? Okay. Oh, you got to take care of these kids. So anyway, I didn't know they were in here. So anyway, so you would have Hero Illustrated come out in the glut of the '90s, right? So there's really not a lot of information about what was going on with Heroes Illustrated, and I really don't remember seeing them a lot. I can't even tell you if they were on the newsstand or not, but I do remember seeing an issue or two. I just never paid attention to them because I had Wizard. Now, so yes, I did just go ahead and ask Google, why did Hero Illustrated go out of business? And I found it very interesting on why they went out of business. Right? It says the magazine ceased publication due to the combination of factors: the intense competitive market in the '90s. After Image, things just blew up. You had all sorts of comic book companies creeping up, new universes popped up. Valiant, Defiant, Malibu had a few things going on there with Image and after, especially with the Ultraverse. All sorts of serious entertainment. We can go on and on. Just everything. Cyberfrog was even part of that, if you will. Just all sorts of things were popping up. And at one point, if you actually had every comic book that came out in 1 month, and you could put it on your shelves in a comic book shop, there's a point in the '90s you could have had 800 books a month. Okay, and then the bubble popped, right? So yeah, here's Illustrator really comes off like comics are hot now. Let's go for it. Okay, that's kind of what it felt like. I don't know. So it says that the focus on the sustainable comic book speculation bubble of the '90s and the dominance of its main competitor, Wizard. I really feel like Wizard just kind of buried him, I think. Intense competition, struggled to compete with Wizard Magazine. That was the leading publication in comics at the time. And the speculation bubble that I quit really. I don't know. I've said what I had to say about all the spec stuff that's on YouTube, and how it has ran off a ton of potential viewers, also, amongst other things. But the magazine, much like others of its era, heavily catered to the comic book speculation market, which is forecasting hot books as investment properties, right? We all should know what happened with the death of Superman, with Superman #75. I think that is the king of the spec books. People actually were buying. I was working in a comic book shop, and it was so wild to look out the window and seeing doctors and phlebotomists and all kinds of people actually walking across the parking lot from the hospital that was across the railroad tracks to buy this Spider-Man, having a line go out the door and seeing lawyers and such in there buying that. I could not believe that was happening as it happened. Anyway, when the bubble burst in the mid 1990s, the demand for magazines focused on speculation that rapidly declined, and I feel like we're having that go on now, amongst which ironically the market has shrunk so much. It blows my mind that they've been able to find so many people on social media to spend large amounts of money on certain books. Um, Unsubstantiated, yeah, you can't sustain the market. As noted by contemporary readers, the magazine was a product very much of their time. that can only really thrive in that brief 90s bubble. When the market conditions changed, the business became couldn't sustain it. Cessation of publication. Hero Illustrated was published by Warrior Publications from July 1993 until it ceased publication in the spring of 96. And actually, that says a whole lot. I did a lot of traveling, if you will, up and down the coast on the trucker circuit. Then I also joined the military and stuff in the middle of this. So there's a potential full year that I kind of probably missed out on this stuff, right? So hey, that's it. But my thing is I always believe there are diamonds in the rough. I believe with the fact that this is a time capsule of the 90s, if you will, what was going on. And also it does have, I enjoyed some of the 90s. I was there. You know what I mean? The joy really outlived the glut. Now, what was really cool is, you would get a lot of original art with what was going on. You would get little posters, bookmarks. You just never knew these were sealed, and you would get ash cans. Okay, you just never knew what was coming out there and stuff, right? And like I said, it is a time capsule of the '90s if you were there. Now, as someone who was born in the '70s, I feel like I grew up in the '80s, if you will, part of that Gen X movement, and was enjoyed the 90s. 93 was a fantastic year, I do believe, for pop culture, music, and everything. That transition from 1991 to about 93 was rough on people. That's one of the things that a lot of people don't talk about, how the culture shifted. A lot of people want to say Michael Jackson to Nirvana. They want to see how harsh it was, but it was very wild. It was a very wild time. And when things settled, I absolutely loved the idea that I had Mystery Science Theater, Conan doing his late night show. Saturday Night Live had a great cast, and we had all these comic book companies coming up with comics. I could go to a grocery store and I bought Strangers #1, Rune. There's some great stuff. That be it what it is with the 90s, right? So yesterday, I bought this one. I've never opened it. I should have bought this yesterday, but this is sealed. I was really happy to find this because, we have Trencher, some Kevin O'Neill stuff that's going on. I don't even know if some of these books came out. I need to open this one. This is actually the first issue of Heroes Illustrated. Double trouble there. This is back before Deadpool became what he is today. Sabretooth was the draw. As you can see, Valiant comics were, still trending there. Image Comics Trent. You had Jim Valentino interviews, Valiant Comics articles on them, Rob Liefeld interviews, Grant Morrison in his mystery, Neil Adams, The Crow, Mutant Mania, probably the Age of Apocalypse. As we go across here, I know Neil Gaiman is in several of these interviews. As you can see, I was talking about we have Marvel Comics taking stock in the Big M, knowing that they filed Chapter 11 a few years later. That's an ironic title for an article. This is February of 1994. Jim Starlin creating a whole new breed. I love the Breed series. His Breed series. It's 3 miniseries is what it comes down to. It was brilliant. It came out around the same time that Hellboy debuted. Breed was a whole idea of a half demon character, if you will, fighting his heritage through the 60s and 70s and stuff. A lot of great stuff there. But I have those. So yeah. As you can see, 1995 Eisner Award winner nominee. I think Hero Illustrated actually won the Eisner for Best Comic Publication. Rob Liefeld interview, Tom DeValco, Alan Moore. That's the Violator there. I believe he did Violator. Can't remember if he did the Bad Rock Violator miniseries. I don't know. He loved Alan. He enjoyed Image Comics because the way they put out comics reminded him of the way that companies would put out pop records in the 60s to flood the market. Flash Gordon, Cosmic Comics. So some of the roots were there. Here's another one I need to eventually open. We get a exclusive Defiant comic, if you will, Grimax. And then we have Starman Returns. James Robinson's got him. And you know that Starman, the 90s Starman series, is possibly my favorite series of all time. I go back and forth with that and Commandy. Go figure. Jim Carrey, who was that Masked Man, 94. the Hero Hot 100, right? So eventually we may open those together. Now, that's our exposition, guys, showing you where we're at and giving people time to get in here. So we have a few extras here that we may want to open. Let me check the comments. Hey, I want to check out Hero Illustrated. What we're going to look at it together here, John. And I really enjoy Back Issue and Wizard. Yeah, the Wizard magazine was fantastic. There are their Alter Ego and Back Issue are magazines going on today from Tomorrow's Publishing. So the reason I've decided to open these is in my travels. I did a 13-hour day at work yesterday, and I've already been out this morning, which is why I decided to head home. But in my travels, I was able to stop for lunch, and right beside of the place that I was eating was a bit of an antique shop, and I found a few things here, right? And I'm going to go ahead and open them because as I was driving around, I got a slight whiff of mildew. And yes, I could probably put a little work into these and go over the sealed plastic case and probably go over it with a bleach wipe or something and let it air out or something. But the risk versus reward is just not worth it, guys. Okay. So here's what I picked up, and you're going to see how much these were, right? So for $1.99, come on, for $1.99, through this vendor, I got, and this was $3.95 when it came out from February 1995, 30 years ago, guys, over 30 years ago. Special Star Trek complete inside. A Mark Silvestre interview, the Rocketeer talk. Yep, Dave Stevens flies again. Yes, guys, there's a Dave Stevens. He's been hot the last year or two. He and Adam Hughes, that are covers, have been going crazy. I remember when it was all about Mike Turner covers. Pete Milligan, Made in the Shade. That's some Vertigo talk, guys. The X-Files, the truth is here. So we get to talk about the X-Files, a staple of the 90s. And Star Trek memories. Star Trek Deep Space Nine was probably hot. Voyager was right around the corner. I do believe at this point, maybe the Next Generation was still going on, right? So we have that one. Okay. Oh, did I show the extras? Let's see what we have in the extras. Yeah, a special edition Deep Space Nine comic. There may be some other things in there. Hero Illustrated, March 1995, number 21. That is a very dark. I've never seen this cover. A dark cover of Spawn. So I don't know what this is about. Spawn Unleashed, comic toys. Todd and Lethargic Lad. Harlan Ellison, I'm down in a few of his favorite things. Harlan Ellison is a huge comic book fan. He still has his library of the things he bought when he was a kid, EC Comics and things like that. Check him out. Look him up on YouTube. There's some interviews, probably from the 80s and 90s with him. John Ostrander in the Wacky World of the Spectre, which is just now. They've released. I think this past week they have announced the 1990s John Ostrander Tom Mandrake omnibus, which will also have a glow in the dark cover on it. So that's wild to find this. This is an interview while it was going on. Evan Dorkin, All You Need Is Love. Evan Dorkin, who is still around and active on social media in comics and stuff, 30 years strong here. The EC Files, Good Lord Choke. Here we are talking about EC Comics again. And like I said, I've been collecting the Dark Horse comic softcover trades that have been collecting of the entire EC Comics library. So as you can see, these things go in cycles, or some things just never go away. Here's one that I was very excited about, and I'm going to have to look up my Wizard magazine I have of this, because I have a Frank Miller. I have an issue of Wizard magazine. I think it's in the 30s, where it has a Frank Miller Sin City cover also done in red. I want to check out the dates of these two. That other one, that Wizard magazine also has, I think, Neil Gaiman and Alan Moore interviews in it with Frank Miller. But this one, Frank Miller face to face with Hart Fisher. Art Spiegelman, The Mighty Mouse Hits the Wild Party. Jill Thompson, The Invisible Woman. Wildstorm Unleashed, Is There Life After Jim Lee? And this is from December of 1994, folks. $1.99 also. As you can see, these were all $1.99. You know, $1.99. What's in the back of this one? Exclusive Shadowhawk PVC coupon inside. Um, Ghost Rider, Wolverine, Punisher 2, Dark Design. I have the first one that John Romita and Howard Mackie did, and that was actually pretty good. This is Howard Mackie. Looks like Ron Garney and Al Milgrom will be doing the Heart of Darkness sequel. That was a one shot. I enjoyed, you know. What do we got here? Here's a Bone cover by Jeff Smith. Okay. It's in threes. That is reminiscent of something. Kind of reminds me of the Magnus Robot Fighter Predator cover by Barry Windsor Smith. This would be the fist. This would be Magnus's face. That would be the Predator behind him. But I digress. It's probably from something much more classic than that. When an original Superman #1, guys, James Robinson meets Jeff Smith. Okay. Jeff Smith meets James Robinson. Comics on TV. Turn on, tune in, watch out. Hopefully, they're going to mention Duckman in there if this is the October of '94. Leonard Nimoy, Techno Comics Big Time. Oh, I remember Techno Comics, and Leonard Nimoy came up with some dinosaurs. Oh my goodness, some sci-fi dinosaurs. I can't remember the name. It'll come to me in a minute. Quesada and Palimati, kicking Major Ash, ASH. I didn't realize Ash came out in '94. I thought that was a little bit later in the '90s. Peter Bag, The Color of Hate. Peter Bag, excuse me. Peter Bag, Hate Comics, little indie there, and the Legion Files, looking back into the super team of the future. And as you guys know, I am a huge Legionnaire fan, going to when I was probably 4 years old. So this is 1994. Now you can get exposed to Gamma Radiation Monthly. Hulk 2099, #1 is coming. Uh, Oh, sadly enough, it was. Oh no wonder we don't hear about it. It was written by Jared Jones, a certified and convicted piece of shit, if I remember right. Yeah, we'll move on from that one. We also have the Technophage. Look at that. That's Neil Gaiman's Technophage. So that's yeah, Techno Comics. That's the same company. What they would do is let me talk about Techno Comics real quick. It's not so much that they had the creators of these series on the books. Neil Gaiman stepped in and he came up with Technophage, Lady Justice. Leonard Nimoy came in with his idea. Somebody else came up with another idea. Neil Gaiman had 2 or 3 ideas. They had a steampunk hero that gets resurrected in the world, in the modern world and stuff. So they would come up with the concepts, call them, and make sure their name was in the title, but the creative team would be completely different. They'd be working off of them. And as you can see in this issue, we have an X-Files Topps Comic Hero Illustrated Special. So I can't wait to open that up to put that. That's a series that I'm currently collecting. The X-Files have landed. They're probably referring to the comic at Topps at this time. So now we're in April of 1995. This is issue 22. That was a little bit more expensive. It was a whole $2.99, guys. Go figure. So anyway, we have The Mask from big screen to small screen. Neil Gaiman, Mr. Sandman meets Mr. Hero. That's the Mr. Hero, I believe, may be that steampunk hero I was talking about. Vertigo in '95, Take a Walk on the Wild Side, The Duck Files, the world's most popular comic. That should be cool. And they're talking about The Mask. And then this was very cool to find. I've been very patient. I've been wanting one of these for a while. Understanding Comics, The Invisible Art by Scott McCloud, right? I'm not going to say that this was required for $5. That is the cheapest I have found it, even going through eBay and thrift shops and stuff, right? And this is a beautiful copy, but this is something that I think people should check out. I don't think it's all relevant, and what I really enjoyed about it is that the concepts of comic art that are in here, Scott McCloud came into. He was able to organize it and put it all together, but he gave me the words and the labels for techniques and comic storytelling that I knew about just from reading so many comics. But he gave me, like I said, the labels and titles for the tricks of storytelling in comics. Right? Okay, guys. So I'm kind of wondering which one to open, because I don't think we're not going to open all of them. We may just do one here. I kind of really want to get a hold of that. Start out slow. I really want to get a hold of that X-Files book. So we're going to open that one. We're going to open the $2.99 Heroes Illustrated, guys. All right. Oh, is this my... What's this? Huh, it's a receipt. Nice. So they're a bit more organized than I thought, right? So what do you say we open this one? Okay, are we up for that, guys? So we have our no Kirby knife if you're an old school viewer of the Howler Mouse channel. So let's take this moment to make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you hit that thumbs up. Make sure you hit the bell, because I think we're going to make other videos of opening these up one at a time, right? So let's go ahead and just open this up. Like I said, there's a small whiff of mildew, which is the only reason I've decided to go ahead and open these. Plus, they should be enjoyed anyway. Always take the time, guys, to make sure you don't damage anything when you do this, because, like I said, I can feel a grain. Yeah. There we all have it. We have opened a over 35-year-old Heroes Illustrated, complete with inserts. So let's take a look at what we have, folks. All right, the insert is what I really wanted to get a hold of. We're going to a time capsule of 1995, guys, right? Trick of the Light, Stefan Petrucca and Charles Adler. Okay, so I remember this story. I do it all. Well, over the years, as you can see, it looks like it had went over, probably shifting back and forth in the bag. It was bigger than the actual Heroes magazine. Thus, we have this. I can just kind of flatten that out, I do believe. But I have this story. I definitely have this story already. So I don't know if this is a preview issue, an exclusive, or maybe I already have this and stuff, right? But the X-Files book, I didn't appreciate it when it came out, but now that the time has gone by, it's a great read. It's pretty good. What else do we have here? Yes, here we go. What I was telling you about. I'm actually trying to unload these. I have the first 3 or 4 of these. Neil Gaiman's Lady Justice. And I hate to say this, but if you've read the JSA, Jeff Johns kind of came up with a little bit of the same design, at least little bit of the concept for Crimson Avenger in his JSA run of the early 2000s, right? So basically, if I remember right, grain of salt, guys. Basically, there's a spirit of justice that goes around. Thank Crow a little bit, where certain ladies get to right certain wrongs, so they end up coming across these haunted guns, or maybe that's the Crimson Avenger or something. But anyway, it's a Dan Barrington covers, which were fantastic. That's one of the reasons I held on to it. But I did not enjoy the series one bit. So every month or something like that, I think there was a new Lady Justice or something. It was very trope-like at the time, right? Neil Gaiman's Technophage, no idea. And you had this Technophage or whatever this is, ended up popping up in a Wheel of the Worlds or something for a crossover. I remember the covers more than anything. I did not enjoy the line at all. So it's what I'm trying to tell you. As much fun as I had in the 90s, not everything was great. Yep, John, incredible shape for being that old. I thought so, which is why I picked them up. They're, and now I'm going to really kind of take care of these. I have some bags here somewhere. I'm going to probably bag these up. So let's get in here and take a look. All right. Oh, excuse me. Got a message while we just take a breather here. 1 second, guys. All right, we're good. Nothing major. I'm not going to be run off here, right? Okay, guys. Now, you know what? I like how this setup is, man. This is reality, right? If you are a comic book collector and you start going through this stuff, you are either on the end of a couch reading this with a stack beside you, or you got crap all over the place. And I feel at home in this stuff, right? So here we go. Exclusive first look at the Toy Fair of 95. No idea what that is, all right? So the Grendel tales were going on, guys. Devil's Advocate. That's I've been reading Grendel over the last few years. Dark Horse has been releasing chronologically the stories of Grendel in omnibus. They may have finally completed it. I have the first 2. Harlan Ellison popping in there. Dream Quarter through Yeah, John Byrne adapted I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. I have those somewhere. Those are fantastic. Like I said, much like Wizard, we had editorial. Gareb Shamus did Wizard. And this is some guy named Frank Kurtz. All respect to Frank. I'm just not recalling your name. So, right off the bat, it looks a lot like Wizard. Tables of contents, which we should all have. Technophage coming out with full page ads. This is how you get trivia, folks. Just enjoy it, take it all in, and much like comics, ads sort of add to the personality of the comics. I mean, who all didn't want the X-ray vision goggles and stuff, right? Letters from the fans, and forever, I hate to keep bringing up Wizard when we're talking about the letters page, and here is illustrated, but for a long time, for quite a while, a staple of the letter page for Wizard, where people in the letter columns debating whether or not Iron Man could take out the Justice League. Is that who it was? Or could Magneto, Iron Man, look at that. I'm going way back here. Could Iron Man take out the X Men with Magneto? I don't know. I think it's more like Iron Man versus the X Men. We'll go with that. They were talking about preparation and, if Magneto popped up and what would happen. So, anyway, yeah, Walter says Noonian, DC says Noonian. Let's call off the whole thing. Now, this is what I'm saying. You would have the letter columns themselves were entertaining at times. I have a cat flying around here. It's got the zoomies. Brain Dead 13 on CD-ROM, Sega CD, CD Mac, MPEG. Look at that, guys. Taking you way back for you gamers. Look at that. All right, Bart is back. This is around the time Valiant apparently were bought up by Acclaim Comics, and they abandoned the gold key layout that Jim Shooter held there, and they were bringing in superstar artists, and they were getting away from that realistic feel to it and bringing in dynamics, thus bringing in Bart Sears on Exo Man of War, Dan Jurgens on Solar, things like that, guys. Bart is back. Okay. Like I said, we go on, moving on. Spirit of Independence tour begins on a high note. More than 200 people come to Austin for the first anti-convention. Okay, yeah, got to be edgy, guy. Marvel exclusive news. Marvel announces plans to distribute exclusively through Heroes World. Changes at Diamond and Capital reflect new dynamic. So this is what affects comic book shops and things when it comes to distribution of comics and who the distributors are. So this is, I remember when this was going on, and this has been going an ongoing thing for over 30 years apparently. Tim Burton attacks, animated Wildcats canceled. Late, I remember all this stuff. The late Harlan Ellison show, the animated Wildcats show. Thus, very cool to see Image really rising with their characters. The Wildcats and Savage Dragon shows, I thought were painful. Cats, let's get wild. You can still probably find this stuff online if you really want to see it. Marvel cut back. Tom DeFalco talks in his first interview since leaving Marvel. Tom DeFalco. After I've mentioned this, Jim Shooter held a standard to the writers to have the stories make sense or whatever he told them. It worked for me. We got all those classics. When Jim Shooter was fired, left, whatever, and Tom DeFalco took over, I started noticing how a lot of things were becoming fast and loose. Not everything was a great idea. So it kind of culminated here to where his reign apparently was over here. The former editor in chief discusses his tenure and the Marvolution, right? Great stuff. Shooting Star signing begins. All sorts of little things. Technophage, Mortal Kombat, guys. Raiden versus Kano. Guys, Mortal Kombat, Killer Instinct. Love both games, but I'm more of a Kano guy. Rating was cool. Don't get me wrong. I'm a fan. I'm a fan. Go with the bad guys. You know what I mean? So look for the 3-issue miniseries now through Malibu Comics. All right. Saying farewell to the far side. The Sovereign Seven arrive on Earth. Superman fights aliens. Ultra Force meets the Avengers. So apparently this is after Marvel bought up the Ultraverse, not to take out competition, but because they had a coloring technique that they wanted to apply to their books that I don't believe they did. So yeah, anyway, that was a sad day because the Ultraverse was, you had Image where it was all about the artist and the art coming out their books. Ultraverse were all the writers coming together and building a universe, and I thought it was just fantastic. Oh man, Godzilla, Jimmy Corrigan, hey Harlan Ellison's all over this, guys. In the works. Oh, not Vampirella, but Evangeline, where Rob Liefeld had this model, and she was all over the place there for a little bit. I feel like this is 95. What year is this, guys? 95. Yeah, April of 95, right? Yeah. Wildstorm Rising. I still end up picking up some of these Barry Windsor Smith covers of this crossover. Oh man, Image News, Malibu News, Mike Danger. Book was coming out through Technophage, it looks like. Frank Miller cover. I actually had that book, but I have all kinds of all sorts of inserts where that thing was everywhere. And the end of the Far Side. So apparently, sadly, this was when the Far Side was ending. I would know that off the top of my head. The Far Side and Peanuts, I would cut out. Oh yeah, and a little bit of Bloom County. Is that what that was? Berkeley Breathe. Anyway, there's three or four of the cartoons, the strips that I would cut out and keep, but it was usually the Far Side that I would keep the most, and they would just, they were on newsprints. They didn't last very long. Yeah, Zongo Comics. Yeah. So I can see with the layout, you sit down and you got your bang for your buck on this stuff. Hollywood Heroes, what's happening? It stinks. We got the critic news. This pops up on Tubi all the time for me. The Outer Limits. I watched a lot of this stuff. Duckman, which I cannot describe Duckman. It was all about a sad man missing his deceased wife and his messed up family and his detective agency. Um, I like Duckman. I really did, especially when he finally got to make peace with his wife. It was heavy stuff. Seinfeld going on, as you can see. Here's the 90s Batman. The Tick. I just got through watching some Tick in the 2000 series, Amazon series. I'm a huge Tick fan. Superman and Lois. Yeah. Here's some Max talk, probably with the cartoon syndicated and cable. The Madman, like I said, you were on top of this. It's in print. It was not speculation. You can go back and see a lot of this stuff that survived the 90s. Man, this is all right. This is pretty good. So we're gonna have to move on. I won't get stuck here. And easy ain't easy being green, but it sure is fun. I was in basic training in '94 when Jim Carrey's two big movies hit. At least definitely one of them was Ace Ventura, and I do believe I did get to see The Mask. Was able to see The Mask in theaters. Okay, so let's stop right there for a minute. Oh man, Victor Shade is here. Mutt's here. A lot of guys just popped in. Great to see you guys. Got here just in time. We'll probably go through this one. Let me see what we have here. Great to see everybody. Prime One Collector. Fantastic to see you, brother. Happy Saturday right back at you. Is that a Glenn favor? Oh, is that a Glenn cover? We'll have to back up and see that. I feel like it's, I don't feel like it is. Credits on the cover. It does not say that I am seeing here. Oh, here's quotes of the month as I'm looking for who did the cover on here. Quotes of the month. We have Nothing to Fear But Idiots by Colleen Doran and Cash In on the Hype, a solicitation ad for Guide to Comics. Covered by Doug Mank. Mahnke. Doug Mank, Mr. Final Crisis himself in my eyes, right? So yeah, Doug Mank. I think he wasn't he the creator of the mask? I do believe. Anyway, greetings. I'm late. I loved a lot of the techno comics. Okay, this is Afro SF. He liked the techno comics. Awesome, man. Big entertainment stuff like iBots and Technophage. iBots, I absolutely love. iBots was based on an Isaac Asimov concept, Robot Heroes. Uh, oh, God. I think Howard Chaykin wrote it, and George Perez provided the art. I forget that they were part of Technophage. Didn't last long, and yeah, anyway, I'm not going to get into that. What is Mutt? What is Grendel about? The spirit of Grendel, Hunter Rose. I have been learning myself because I have had people for over a decade tell me I need to check out Grendel. But basically, he's cooler than Batman. He has the spirit of Grendel from the Beowulf legend, and eventually that spirit ends up influencing people from around the world after the death of Hunter Rose and a few other Grendels that came through. All right, so yeah, it's not something you can put a pin in. a bow on its nose, if you will, and explain in a sentence or two. But it's very cool. Hunter Rose is basically cooler than Batman, in my opinion, because he's a bad guy. You know what I mean? So, happy Saturday. And guys, anybody wants to tell him what Grindelwald's about better than I did, help Mud out, man. Help Mud out. Okay. By saying hello. All right, Werewolf by lunchtime. Great to see you, brother. Hey, Howler Mouse from Oz. Late as usual. Hey, better than not showing up, man. And we don't clock in around here. JP Fun. I'm at work. I feel you, brother. I did 13 hours yesterday. Birthquake by Afro. Yep. At lunch, Werewolf by lunchtime. I highly recommend Thurston Moore's autobiography, Sonic Life. It is superb. Okay, I will try to make. Oh, Thurston Moore from. Oh God, yeah. I need to slow down here, man. Yeah, Thurston Moore. Of course, he is of Sonic Youth fame. I'm a fan of the Sonic Youth stuff, so I will definitely, I'm probably one of the few people I feel that I've run across over the band breaking up that does not judge Thurston Moore for whatever his indiscretion, what he cheated on his wife, apparently, who was also in the band. And I'm one of the few people that, I don't really judge, not saying it was right or wrong, but that's the whole point of not judging. JP Fawn, I was all about the scorpion. Get over here. Get over here. Yes, the scorpion. Oh man, yeah, I'm going to end up paying. Yep. Oh, I'm going to have some memories of Mortal Kombat, all the games. And right now, the stepson, of course, oh God, was it an Xbox? Anyway, he has the game where you have the Terminator you can play as, the Joker, and Spawn mixed in there with Mortal Kombat, I believe. Mike, I go up there and we play that as grandmothers every now and then. Mike Danger, Lost Universe, Prime Mortals, that's it. Afro is all over Technophage. Isaac Asimov's iBots were all good stuff. Average art, though, except iBots with Perez and Pat Broderick. Thank you. I quit a minute ago going on about the iBots because I was going Gil Kane, and I knew Gil Kane did not do the art on that. It was Pat Broderick. Gil Kane, the last thing I really remember him working on around this time was at Bravo, and it was the Edge book. So anyway, moving on. Let's go on, guys. Great that everybody's here. Again, leave comments, subscribe. Guys, I am seeing numerous people here. Numbers are pretty good. I appreciate everybody popping in here. But let's get that thumbs up going, guys. There's a ratio here, man. Anyway, Death Race 2020, Burial of Rats, Little Shop of Horrors, Caged Heat, Rock and Roll High, The Wasp Woman, Cosmic Comics, Roger Corman's Cosmic Comics. I don't remember that a bit. So, guys, I have homework. Apparently, is this a comic book line? Kevin O'Neill, Pat Mills. Oh, my God. Kelly Plunkett. I mean, Little Shop of Horrors, Rock and Roll High School. I'm all about those two. Yes, I know Death Race. Everybody should know Death Race of some form. But, yeah, The Wasp Woman. Oh, my goodness. Okay. Beatlemania strikes again in Japan. New wave of bug-headed heroes reminiscent of action-filled past. Kamen Rider. I forgot all about Kamen Rider. Guys, in 1993, I do remember watching the first United States episode of Power Rangers. Man, I hung in there for 2 or 3 times. I'm like, this is cool. I knew it was going to be big. But when I saw Kamen Rider a little bit, I was like, oh, this is cool. So we got our anime action here, guys. Our live action stuff, right? And guys, the one I want to throw out there that I discovered for myself back in probably like 11 or 12 years ago, Desert Punk. Please check out Desert Punk. It has a live opening for the show, live action, and then it goes into anime. It is fantastic, very reminiscent of that opening. Reminds me of the 70s Croft stuff, Anyway, let's get on with this anime video checklist. All right. And then here's the Hero Insider. Right. Now, these were interesting because I've gone back in my issues and read some of this trying to guess what they were talking about, but they were very vague. But the whole idea is that you can see this is like a vanilla envelope dossier, if you will. And supposedly they write it like this is the gossip of comics at the time that they will not substantiate. Right. In a flash, hey, Mr. Mister, how much is this party going to be worth? A Tale to Astonish, Big Man Visits the Big D. Why would he do that? Who Wants to Run Our Capital, and Viva Las Vegas. Now, the print is very small, right? But I want to give you an example, right? Word, WURD, has it that a certain stinky cheese man likes a recently spawned toy line so much he bought the company. Hmm. Hope he likes hope he likes dusting. So that's what I'm trying to tell you. It was so vague that you were just sort of like, who are they talking about? Is it Todd McFarlane? Did somebody buys who smells like cheese? Stuff like that, and that was it, but you would get that every month. And then, of course, we get reviews. Now, the review section was actually pretty good. I think in Wizard, the Tom Palmer Jr. did a lot of reviews and stuff, right? So in this one, we meet our cast of characters, right? Rare Bit Friends. They give you, this is laid out: the good, the bad, the ugly. Is it worth it in a flash? The good, the bad, the ugly, writer, publisher, and they would let you know what they thought about it, right? So this month they did Rare Bit Friends. What if Spider-Man became a murderer? I don't remember that issue. It's number 72. And in my last live show, I went over the What If books I have from that volume 2 or 3 there. Doofus by Fantagraphics book, Planet Patrol. So that's what I'm trying to tell you. If you want to get, you know, find some stuff, obscure, it's all here. THB, oh my God, by Paul Pope. God, I have not thought about that in forever. Wow. Anyway, it's just a couple issues. Star Slayer, from Acclaim Comics, The Adventures of Superman here. Applewood. What was that? That was Joe Shuster. Anyway, it's a kind of a reprint. Gene Roddenberry's Lost Universe through Technophage. Um, Spawn, of course. Hutch Owens Working Hard. I cannot believe I haven't thought of THB. Ghost with those Dark Horse Ghost. I think that was the one book that survived the world's best comics line that they had, or whatever they were calling it. Creatures of the Night, Vampirella versus Shadowhawk. Mantra, a book I tried to read. I still have all the issues. I can't give them away from the Ultraverse. I could not stand that book. I was really surprised. My Starman. All right, Starman, DC, issue reviewed, number 7. James Robinson, Tony Harris, $1.95. Enhancements, none. Other notes, shipping March 28th, right? And a flash, Jack Knight, in his continuing quest to purchase old collectibles, stumbles across a circus show where all is not as it seems. Now, who of us who collect things have not been in that situation? While purveying the freak show, Jack runs across the alien Starman, Michael is his name, guys, who is seemingly held captive. Hadn't been seen since his DC Comics one-issue special, I do believe. Is it worth it? In bold letters with 3 exclamation points, exclamation marks. Yes, this is simply one of the best superhero books being put out today. There are no cliched plot lines here. Instead, there's a genuine feeling that the copy could go anywhere at any given minute. The story could go anywhere at any given minute, guys. Excuse me. The art is fantastic, reaches the majesty possible of DC fictional cities. The text contrasts the superhero grandeur with tight but minute attention to the down-to-earth concerns of the protagonist. The love of old collectibles, rather appropriate for a comic book, permeates the entire series in a very contagious manner. The good, Robinson perfectly captures the horrific atmosphere in the life of outbacks. He crafts a general feeling of danger and unleashes the lingers constantly in every face that Jack has to face. Blah, blah, blah. The bad, fans who ask, why isn't this a Vertigo book? Yeah, that was dumb. The ugly, I'm having flashbacks of Motel Hell and Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Cerebus World Tour book of 1995. X-Men 2099 in Vegas. Number 19 specifically. Omni Comics. Oh, wow, guys. I completely forgot there was an Omni Comics. We had a couple of issues of Omni magazine in the house during the 80s, right? Cosmic History here, Rune, Silver Surfer. I still have this, the crossover. There was also Rune crossed over with Conan, which was perfect. That was a Barry Windsor Smith book. And I actually thought that was going to be the book by Barry Windsor Smith, the Conan Rune crossover. It was his return to Conan. I believe he wrote, drew, and colored the book. And I thought that was going to be a massive, massive book. One of those Marvel speculation, but it was based on merit in the return of one of one of the men who brought Conan to Marvel Comics. Quick sketches. Oh, Mr. Grant. Here's Edge by Gil Kane that I was talking about. Steve Grant's Wonderful World of Anti-Heroes. So Steve Grant gets an interview in here. Alan Grant, Steve Grant, David Lapham, #1 with a bullet. I still have my issues of Stray Bullets. Rick Parker's Trash Act. I don't know what it is. Charles Burns Q&A. Nice. Wow. Kitchen Sink Press. And here we go. Yep. Dark Horse takes the mask out of the cartoon world and drops him into another. So yeah, talk about being rejuvenated. Saturday morning cartoon coming up. All kinds of things going on with the mask. Yeah. Mask. Little contest going on here. Oh, what is this? Fleer Entertainment. Who knows what this is? Toy Fair. Toys that were coming out. Yep. Action figures that were coming out at the time. Wildcat action figures, guys. Did you know? Did you realize there were toys of Wildcats that were supposed to come out? Earthworm Jim. Turtles line. Monster Force. Good stuff. MODOK there. That cracks me up. Yeah, Playmates. They go by company, apparently. Playmates, Bandy. I have some of these Tick in action figures. I don't know if I don't remember a lot of these coming out. Deep Space Nine, Judge Dredd. I've got the Judge Dredd figures. I just bought those sometime over the past decade for Steel. Looks like they have X-Men books. Toy Biz, guys. Yep. Fantastic Four themes. Wolverine. See what I'm saying? See how you would get this and just everything would be cool? Spider-Man, Iron Man, Ghost Rider. This must have been around the time that they were doing the syndicated cartoon of Iron Man and Fantastic Four, I would imagine. I have the Fantastic Four 90s cartoon on DVD. You can check it out on Disney if you have it. Youngblood, Wetworks, Todd Toys, Kenner, Batman Forever, Legends of the Dark Knight. My God, I can't believe these were 30 years ago. I still see these in flea market bins and stuff, all beat up, never complete. Star Wars with the big barrel-chested figures. Oh, man, I got rid of those as soon as I could. I had a 350-piece Star Wars collection I sold in 2006. Congo, Ultraverse, free offer, limited edition Violator. Look at that. Okay, then we got comic news once again. I love these absolute layouts. Oh, man. Yeah. Tim Truman doing his best Jonah Hex. We got Delirium. Sandman, I believe that's a Craig Russell. Vertigo, turning into chaos. So we get a piece here. Jamie Delano, Invisibles, Neil Gaiman. Everybody gets a little word in here. Peter Milligan, Preacher, guys. Steve Siegel, John Nay Reber. Oh my gosh. Yeah, this is good stuff. This magazine is so much better than I remember. Techno. Here's a big Techno's Wide World of Gaming. Yeah, here it is. This is what I was saying. Yep. Wow, Mr. Hero. That is cool. They were really pushing for this. Wheel of Worlds. There it is. That is the book. I've seen this in dollar bins consistently for 30 years. That book right there. There's Mr. Hero. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. Maybe it's looking back. We got Mike Baron, Steve Rude, Madman Comics #6, Big Guy and Rusty the Robot. I still have that book. I cannot believe how much of this stuff I still have. Oh wow, Glitch Cutter, Dot Patrol. I remember these computer animated kid shows. Yeah, and then like I said, we get comics you can order through mail. Yeah. Introducing what is this? Kamiko? Is this a resurgence of Kamiko? I don't know. Anyway, but I think you get the point, guys. There's a lot of stuff in here that was getting interviewed, that was being called. Alex Ross cover for Elementals. It is the second coming. That last. I need to check out this trade. I believe this is a trade. This is the only time that I can think of that Alex Ross did anything with the Elementals. I don't want to get too far into you guys, but I have the first 3 volumes. I think elementals are fantastic up to a point. Cover art. Now, this is what was so great about Wizard, and I guess Hero Illustrated put it up. You would have art sent in by fans, all right, and they would hold a contest. They'd also have Wizard also had cosplay contests and stuff, right? Wizard had envelope art contests for their letters column and stuff, right? But you would see all sorts of it. And I think there was only one person who ever sent any of this art in who went on to comics. I would love to remember who that was. But there's one person I think in Wizard magazine who had his artwork published, and he ended up actually working in comics as he went on. Like I said, some of these got very intricate with what they were doing. Grand prize. They gave away prizes. First winner envelope. Here's the envelope art. So yeah, I think that really hurt Hero Illustrated was following some trends there. You know, or maybe they came up with it first. Who knows? Maybe where I read Wizard, I just think they did it first. Mark A. Nelson's From Pencils to Ink. Ole is as Ole does. Wizard magazine, and this magazine also would have artists, give you art lessons. The Wizard issues have uh, articles have been collected, and they go for big bucks. The Duck Files, check that out. A World of Believers. Steve Gippy, President and CEO of Diamond Comic Distributors. Oh, that is fantastic. That is absolutely beautiful. A brief history of the Duckverse, the Duck family. Carl Barks, I'm sure. Sam De La Rosa. I'm sure they get into all of that stuff. And I would imagine that this is probably from some of the people who grew up watching the DuckTales cartoon, which, guys, I have tried to watch on Disney and I just cannot get into it. But I did recognize a Carl Barks episode once or twice. Portrait of a Modern Duck Man. See, this is fun. This is just fun. This is what it's all about. Oh my God, we get a price guide, Duck Files price guide on the Disney books, Gemstone, and things like that. That is amazing. That's a good That's some very nice reference material, guys. Markets navigating the stormy seas of comics. The view from the Nexus Part Two. What's ahead for comic book? What's ahead for the comic book industry? Larry Marters puts in his two beans. So this is where people were trying to predict where the market was going. That would be very interesting to read 30 years removed from it. And then coming up issues. Well, hello, Lester. Are you back? We have a commentary by James Robinson himself, which I'll be reading after this. And Atlantis Rising. All right, look at that. That is some great Alan Davis. Oh no, wait a minute. And as fans begin eating up the colonization of Earth's eighth continent, Marvel's pioneered a number of projects that are sure to make a splash. Fantastic Four Atlantis Rising #1, Fantastic Force #8, Warlock and the Infinity Watch 41. I don't remember this at all. I kind of remember the term Atlantis Rising, but I didn't know it involved an eighth continent of Atlantis. Oh my God, Atlantis Rising. I get Rune Silver Surfer Flipbook #1. That's probably the only reason I'm aware of Atlantis Rising in any way, shape, or form. Anybody remember this? Leave that in the comments. I mean, there was so much stuff that the reboots they did. Thor's horrible costume. What was it? Avengers: The Crossing, where the Mike Deodato Jr. I don't know what was called his art studio, whatever, redesigned the entire Avengers. They actually made Wasp into a creature more than a woman with wings. It was really there was some stuff with Marvel that happened in the '90s that has been buried and forgotten. In conjunction with the company and fans and stuff. And I feel like this is somewhere in there. Beautiful Alan Davis art, though. Fantastic. Well, guys, that's it. If you like this, let me know, and maybe I'll do one issue per show because I actually enjoyed that. Took longer than I thought for one issue, but that was fun. So let's do some comments, and I'm going to bow out of here. I've got a cat going nuts over here and things I need to do today, and I really would like to have some time to read today. All right. So that's what we have here. Thanks for everybody that popped in here and left comments. Make sure you have subscribed. Make sure you hit that bell because this was fun. There's no telling when I'm going to do these. Maybe I can get back on schedule like I did in the old days. The old days, you had a Howler Mouse video once to twice a week, Sundays and sometimes Wednesdays. And then, oh crap. Hold on, guys. I got an advertisement here coming up. There we go. JP Fawn. I was all about Scorpion. Get over here. I've already read that one. Here we go. Afro SF. I think Gil Kane did a cover for iBots though. Okay, that would help. But what was Paul? What has Paul Pope done lately? Batman Year 100 was the last I heard. Battle Boy is the last thing I heard. Do I have that? Excuse me, Battling Boy. And this has to be over a decade old. This is actually the last thing I remember seeing that he did. I picked this up because he wanted to do Commandy at DC. DC said no, we have plans for Commandy, so he just took his idea and turned it into Battling Boy. That's the last thing I remember. So yeah, that's a good question. I'll have to kind of look that up. I'm not a huge Paul Pope fan. I mean, like I enjoy his work, but I don't keep the radar on. You know what I'm saying? Mutt, don't remember Atlantis Rising, but I was into Image mostly by '95. I have a feeling a lot of people did, and that's why there's a lot of stuff coming out from Marvel that is not, I think they were just throwing stuff against the wall to see if it would stick, and if it didn't, they moved on. Hopefully, who knows? Okay, guys, thanks for popping in. Everybody, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Read your comics, be excellent to each other. And once again, subscribe, share, let people know this is a place where we actually crack our comics open. Mutt, oh my God, Paul Pope on Commandy would have been amazing. Yes, it would have. And we're going to leave with that. It doesn't get better than Commandy, Paul Pope, Heroes Illustrated, and a bunch of comic book reading fools. Later, guys.